Zoe, a bright and curious 17-year-old, lived with her mother Emma in a small Kenyan village. After her father's passing, Emma raised Zoe alone, working tirelessly to provide for her daughter's education and well-being. Their bond was strong, built on years of mutual love and trust. When Emma remarried Kofi, Zoe was hesitant. She had grown accustomed to it being just the two of them against the world. But Emma was happy, and for Zoe, that was what mattered most. Kofi seemed kind enough, always bringing her small gifts and making sure their modest home was well provided for. At first, Zoe tried to accept Kofi. She wanted her mother to be happy. But as time passed, small things began to change. It started with Kofi's lingering gaze, the way he would sit too close or offer a hand on her shoulder that stayed a moment too long. Zoe dismissed these feelings, brushing them off as overthinking. One night, while Emma was away at the market, Kofi's behavior escalated. He cornered Zoe in the kitchen, his breath heavy, his smile no longer kind. She tried to resist, tried to push him away, but he was stronger. The house, once a safe space, became the scene of her worst nightmare. Zoe never spoke of what happened that night. She buried it deep within herself, hoping to protect her mother from the truth. But the truth refused to stay hidden. Months passed, and Zoe began to feel sick. Her body changed, and soon it became impossible to ignore. One afternoon, Emma found Zoe retching behind her house, her face pale, and her stomach slightly swollen. It took only one look for Emma to understand. "What's going on?" Emma had asked, her voice shaking. Zoe's heart pounded as she stood frozen, eyes brimming with tears. She wanted to speak, to tell her mother everything, but the words stuck in her throat. Finally, through sobs, she whispered it was Kofi. Emma's world shattered. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Her husband, the man she had let into their lives, had betrayed them in the worst way possible. She wanted to scream, to cry, to rage at the world for what had happened to her daughter. The weeks that followed were unbearable. Emma couldn't bring herself to look at Kofi, nor could she confront him immediately. The village was small, and news like this could ruin their lives. But the betrayal cut deep, and Emma knew she had failed to protect her daughter. Zoe, carrying the weight of her unborn child, felt an unbearable distance grow between her and her mother. Every time she looked at Emma, she saw the disappointment and the sorrow that she had brought into their home. As the months passed, the space between them widened. Zoe began to retreat into herself, the weight of the trauma and the pregnancy becoming too much to bear. Emma, caught in her own guilt and devastation, didn't know how to reach out. The home that had once been filled with laughter and warmth was now a cold, silent place where the ghost of trust lingered but was never spoken of again. Zoe sat alone one night, staring at the stars, her hands resting on her swollen belly. She whispered to the unborn child, "I'm sorry." She wasn't sure who she was apologizing to, herself, her mother, or the baby who would come into a world already filled with brokenness. Inside the house, Emma watched her daughter through the window, her heart etching with a pain words could not express. She had lost Zoe in a way she never thought possible, and the knowledge that she hadn't been there to protect her was a wound that would never heal. The nights grew longer, and the silence between them more deafening. Both mother and daughter, trapped in their own grief, were too broken to find their way back to each other.